Hey guys, come in, come in. Oh yeah, sorry for the rain.
Thank you for inviting us.
How you doing?
Good, how are you doing today?
All good. Well, I'm
happy to hear
Gabriele.
that.
I'm an investment analyst here at PureTerra, and yeah, this is our office. Come in.
Hi.
Hey.
So Xavier, maybe can you please introduce your background?
Sure. So I did a bachelor's in geology and economics at the VU here, then switched to a master's in global business and sustainability. So basically always in a focused education. And after that did a quick stint at a corporate, which I fairly quickly realized wasn't really my place to be. And then decided to seek a way into venture capital. So that's what I've basically done for pretty much my entire professional career. And started in climate tech, more in sort of the energy, agriculture, circularity side, and did some venture capital there as well as project finance. And then 2 years ago, switched to PureTerra Ventures.
And when you were in corporate finance, how did you understand that you want to be in venture capital?
No, it was not corporate finance.
No, just
venture.
corporate, venture.
Oh no, it was just corporate.
Just corporate, okay.
Just corporate.
So how did you go from there to venture capital? What made you think that it's what you want to do?
Yeah, so and what I noticed in the corporate world, and I mean that's was just my sort of what I saw there was just it's very big for one. It's a very sort of clear, set sort of path that everybody's on. Everybody comes in, does their thing, and then heads out. And I didn't really feel the need to sort of, okay, let's try to do everything that we do better and try to improve on what we do sort of every day, which is, you know, maybe it's not everywhere, but that's what I noted when I was there at least. And I felt I wanted to be in a sort of more dynamic sort of environment where I could do more myself at least, or bring a bigger sort of larger impact to a smaller team, and you would have sort of more where you would notice what you did more on sort of the day-to-day business, so to say. So the whole corporate side just didn't really appeal to me in that sense. And the venture capital side, although very different in terms of what you do, did have that sort of small team environment, a lot of ambitious people that are around you that, want to do something that's, you know, maybe better than the way we did it yesterday, sort of.
And you mentioned that the teams are smaller, of course, in venture capital. How big or small is the team in the PureTerra?
So when I started, it was just the 4 partners and me. Then fairly quickly after that, we got Dylan in, who's the principal here. Currently, we're with 8 that are hired on a permanent contract, and then we have usually 1 or 2 interns as well. So 8 to 10. And that's with our first fund. So that first fund is now running on it to sort of its end. And when we raise a second fund, we'll get more resources also to hire more people and increase the team.
So it's your plan to raise second fund soon?
We are in the process of that. So fingers crossed that it all goes well. But indeed, I mean, we hope to close that somewhere, or at least have a first close somewhere early next year.
Oh, nice, nice. And can you actually tell more about the PureTerra Ventures?
Sure. So we're a water tech investor, which is, that's not something you see very much. So there's I would say about 5 or 6 investors worldwide that have that same sort of amount of focus in that particular niche. And we invest in anything that sort of improves on the way we treat water in municipal settings, but also in industrial settings, how we monitor water, how we manage data around water, and optimize systems with that data, as well as anything that helps improve the efficiency of how we use water in industry. Let's say agriculture, irrigation is a very big user of water. How can you help sort of use that more efficiently? That's also something we could invest in. And what we seek out is it's all very tech heavy normally, hardware both as well as software. And what we seek is a company or a technology that is really able to disrupt, in a way, the status quo. So it really has to be a radical improvement on the way we do things now for us to have an interest in it.
Okay. Well, my next question was what type of companies you invest in, but you already answered the water tech companies, hardware and both software. So then what is your role in PureTerra and what are your responsibilities on a daily basis?
So I think as PureTerra, what we want to do is to further on what we look for companies that have that technology that I mentioned before, but it does have to be de-risked to a certain amount that we say, okay, now it's ready for commercial scaling. And I think that is where our role as an investor really comes in, and that's the value that we bring, I would say. So the basis of PureTerra, the foundation really of PureTerra, where this all started, is very entrepreneurial. So the founders or partners, however you want to call it, they're entrepreneurs, as well as people that have run around in the water space for a long time. And they want to leverage that sort of entrepreneurial experience to the founders that we work with to help them actually grow the company, expand from 10 employees to 40, 50. They've all gone through that, so they know what that means and what that brings. And that's something we try to bring to the companies. What we do on a day-to-day basis is, honestly, it's pretty diverse. I mean, in a nutshell, it's analysis of companies. So we get about 500 to 600 companies a year, all water tech startups. So it's pretty, I would say it's not maybe quantitatively the highest amount of deal flow we receive, but qualitatively it's quite strong. And we have a pretty diligent process to review those. We try to automate and standardize as much as possible, really focused on the collection of data so that we can really sort of efficiently compare companies and technologies across different use cases to make sure that we really seek out the best companies in its specific sort of area. So that is a big part. And then, that is sort of the initial analysis, goes deeper. We get more pieces of information that we have to process as well. And then you move towards the closing of a transaction, of course. That is one big part. And then we have the portfolio management, where we are pretty active. So that's what I mentioned before. We really try to help the founders with the entrepreneurial knowledge that we have, as well as the expertise and network that we've built up over the years in the water sector. And then there's everything that comes with running a fund. So fund marketing, that's also one of my responsibilities. How do you, portray yourself as a fund? Which podcast do you do? Which, interviews do you do? So something like this, for instance, would fall under that. As well as the fundraising in the end. I think that is a big one as well. So that's something that we also now spend a lot of time on.
So you would say all the responsibilities are shared between the team, even if you're like analyst or principal, it's all...
Yeah, very much so. I think we all believe very much in the principle of, okay, you as a person, you're allowed to take as much responsibility as you can in a way. So if you show that you can sort of take on different tasks and sort of complete them successfully, then we're very happy to give you more. I think from an intern to a principal in a way, or an associate, doesn't matter. You can take on pretty much anything that you want to take on. And if you have an idea, it's you're pretty free to also implement that idea. So I would say, this is going to sound very cliche, and I think more companies say this, but we are, I would say, a very flat, in terms of hierarchy, very flat organization.
That's also maybe why you switched from corporate to venture capital.
Yeah, I think, indeed. That's not something you would find in a lot of corporates, where it's very structured, very hierarchical, and that's absolutely not what you would find here.
Yeah, of course. And what would you say, because you work as an analyst, right?
Associate.
Associate, okay. What would you say are the requirements to be hired as an analyst, the first step? Yeah,
so what is a great adder is if you have any experience in the water sector. Mm-hmm. If you have technical experience from a study, or if you've already worked as an engineer or whatever in the water sector, I think that is an added benefit always. It's not a necessity. I don't have that. I certainly don't have that. So the other, I would say, is either experience in finance or something VC related, or if you've worked in a startup environment. I think that also brings a lot of value and experience that you can use in your day-to-day tasks here. And I think in terms of personality, I think we're all we focus a lot on that part as well during hiring. So we are a very small team, and we want to make sure, to the extent that we can, that the person that joins us fits the dynamic of what we have here. And I think one of the more important things in that is sort of the ability to be proactive, to be self-starting. I think everybody here is we're very much a team, but we're also, we also have our own tasks and we help each other, but everybody does have to have that sort of, okay, I have this in front of me. I don't know what to do with it, but I'm going to find a solution and we're going to make it work. And I think that is a good sort of mentality to have if you work here.
Of course, makes sense. Yeah, in a small team always.
Exactly. Yeah.
And will you be looking for the analyst anytime soon?
We will. Yeah, we are currently hiring new interns as well. So that is one. And then as soon as we raise that first fund, I believe we are going to hire a junior or a meteor, and that will be, somewhere around Q1 next year, 26. So we're currently in the process of speaking to people, looking if there's a good match.
Okay, sounds good. And what would you say you like about your job the most?
The people, I have to say. Yeah, I mean, that's the main reason why I joined here was I had a really good connection with, well, for one, the partners that I spoke to back then. I had an idea about the water issue and the challenge that was in front of us, but I wasn't nearly as sort of knowledgeable about it as I am now. But it was really the connection with the partners. Just really sort of, yeah, I really liked the way that they sort of expressed their vision and the way they wanted to do things around here, and I think that all feeds into what I just explained about everybody's fairly sort of proactive. It's very much okay. Let's try and improve on what we do. So that is really sort of felt good. And the other thing is, I would say, working globally, I think is also a very interesting sort of angle to what we do. I mean, a lot of the funds that I worked at previously had either the Netherlands or Northwestern Europe, maybe the entirety of Europe, which is already very interesting. But I think adding America specifically, I think brings in a whole new sort of dimension to especially venture capital, because the growth opportunities there are just so much bigger. Yeah. And the way they do venture capital there is also very different from the way we do things. So that's a good sort of learning experience. It brings a bit of, the option of traveling to events, portfolio companies, so that is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree, because I just read the Dutch capital market report from 2024, and it was stated that basically in US it's much more bigger, the venture capital scene, than here, and it should really improve in Netherlands, but I see you're doing a great job on that.
Yeah, I mean the Netherlands, I think, is pulling its weight, but it's not as far along as the US is, for sure. Yeah, no, we need to
sadly for now.
We need to pick it up a little bit. No.
Well, it's good that you're doing that. And going back to the recruitment question, what are the steps to be hired as an analyst?
So we use a Typeform questionnaire to just get sort of a basic amount of information on your motivation, experience, etc., as well as your CV. That sort of feeds into us saying, okay, this warrants a first conversation, usually just a quick one over the phone, just to have a little bit of a better understanding of what was submitted through the application. Then a first interview with either one of the associates, usually two, sorry, and then followed by a case interview. So we do sort of want to see, okay, how familiar or how comfortable is someone with this sort of really techie company that we look at.
And how much knowledge do you expect the analyst to have in the sense of venture capital knowledge?
Honestly, if you ask me personally, and some others might disagree, not that much, I would say. I just want to see a very sort of, a basic level of understanding maybe, but I also just want to see someone that is very eager to learn and shows sort of the ability to delve into something that is completely unknown and new, and take, some of the right pieces of information out of it and getting also the right conclusion from that information. That is really what I look for most, as well as, like I said, that personal level connection more than anything. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that sounds good. And you have basically 3 levels of 3 steps in recruitment, right? Or 3, 4?
Yeah, I mean, it honestly, it depends, but roughly I would say that's
that much better than a lot of corporates and investment banking firms with 6 rounds.
Yeah, no, I mean, I mean, we do take a quite extensive route as well. It depends. If it's an intern, it's a little bit different. If it's for an analyst or an associate, We do go in like on a personal level quite deep, but still it's going to be 2 or 3 conversations, not more than that.
Sounds very good. Hey, and the closing question: if PureTerra Ventures was a person, who would it be?
I saw Liza had this one. I thought it wasn't on mine, but if PureTerra was a person, who would it be? Jesus.
It's our favorite question.
Yeah, it's a good one. I should have thought of this before, shouldn't have. I'm blank. I don't know.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Hi Xavier. Hi Gabriele. So can you tell us a bit about yourself, Gabriele?
Sure. Well, yeah, I'm Gabriele. I come from Italy, and I'm currently in my bachelor at UVA. I do economics and business and specialize in finance. And yeah, in the second year, I've been really involved with many student associations, and I kind of went through like the whole process of understanding maybe like what's out there in terms of careers. Of course, especially in finance, which is what interests me the most. And then I kind of got into the whole venture capital world through first student associations, and now I'm living the dream here at PureTerra, doing an internship in a proper venture capital fund.
And why did you like venture capital? What made you think it's for you?
I think I've always been like fascinated by technology. Also, like when I was a kid, I always say like I had fun just like building my own computer, or like going like software, like all that part. It was very interesting. Like even if I were never like technical, I was also always really curious. So learning wasn't really a hurdle to pass. And then when I also realized that I like finance, I was like, well, why not combining both? And I think venture capital is the best way to do that.
Mm-hmm. And you already mentioned that you're an intern at PureTerra. What are your main responsibilities here?
Well, they vary a lot, so it really depends on the period, what needs to be done. But overall, I have like a lot of projects, mainly the deal flow. I'm really involved with that, especially the first phases. So I reach out to funders, I set up calls, I do like first screenings, then I present to the team. I do more in-depth analysis if actually we find some interesting startups. And then it really depends on what startups we find. So if they're really interesting, we want to go deeper. If they're not, we stay at the surface level. Mm-hmm. But then I am involved with some consulting projects for portfolio companies or some fundraising material to prepare. It really depends, but there are a lot of responsibilities.
Actually, quite a lot for an intern, because I often hear that as an intern you just do mostly the analysis, but you don't talk to founders. But in your case, you do, which is amazing.
I'm always on call with this guy and the founders, so like we always have a lot of fun with that.
Nice.
Sit back. That's good.
By the way, I can also lead some calls. Like,
Sounds cool.
Started maybe 1 month ago, and it's pretty fun.
That's very nice. Yeah. And how would you describe the culture here, the work culture at PureTerra?
It's very open. Like I would say, like the most practical example I can give is when I was talking to one of the founders. Like his motto was like everybody puts their pants on like one leg at a time. So like no matter who you are, like we're all like equal, and we should all be respected equally, and like just talk as like normal people.
Mm-hmm. And how are the working hours? How is the workload for an intern?
I would say like the workload, it really depends on how much you can take on. But the working hours are really reasonable. They're somewhat flexible as long as you can manage your workload. So as long as you like get your work done, like nobody's gonna complain, nobody's gonna micromanage you. Like you're really like independent on what you do. Mm-hmm.
So would you overall recommend the position as an intern?
I would definitely recommend it. Yeah.
Because,
having a lot of fun here.
So I've heard you're hiring.
It's super interesting.
Because I heard you're hiring right now, right? An intern?
We are indeed, yeah.
And what type of internship is that?
So it's going to be similar to what Gabriele is doing. So the bulk of it is going to be deal flow and talking to founders, screening. A big part is also deep dives that we do. So we do like sectoral deep dives or use case deep dives, which dive into something that we find interesting. Try to look for what are the companies within that specific use case that are the most interesting for us to invest in. So it's really a sort of a practical angle to a research project. So that, and then indeed the fundraising that we are doing as well is going to be quite a chunk of the workload as well right now.
And what are the requirements for the intern?
Well, I would say to some extent have some level of experience in what we do. So that's either a technical background in, for instance, engineering, or, well, there's a lot of angles that could fit in a way to what we do here, or finance background, or, you know, show that you've done some venture capital related work in the past. So the basic level of understanding of what we do on different angles. And then I think the most important is just being able to take in information quickly, process it, learn from it, and also get the sort of show that you can get the right conclusions from that information, because that's basically what we do the entire day.
It is actually very true.
So, yeah.
And you also hire bachelor's and international students, not only master.
No, yeah, I mean, in principle, the language on the office floor is English. We've got several international people here,
Sounds
so
amazing.
that's pretty much what we speak in the entire day. You'll hear a little bit of Dutch here and there, but it's not that much. I mean, I think we'd go for master students usually, but we sometimes we do.
Like Gabriele.
Well, no, I mean it's honestly, I think we're open and opportunistic. I think it's just really depends on the person in front of us. I think that is in the end the most important thing, just to fit with us as a team.
And when is the start date?
Also depends.
Flexible.
I mean, we're pretty flexible. I would say as soon as possible. But,
Okay.
we just have to find the right person.
Okay.
And, yeah.
And is it also for 4-6 months internship, like Gabriele?
Yeah, I think we would start at a 4-month
4 months, okay.
stint, but I mean we're there again flexible. Depends on what the other party wants as well.
Well, sounds good. And Gabriele, can you please walk us through the recruiting process that you had to go through?
Yeah, so I mean, again, there it's also pretty flexible, but I would say the kind of standardized process would be like, either an intro call or just like meeting up. So personally, I met Xavier first at an event, and then we had the first
Several events.
Several. Actually, yeah.
You were everywhere.
Yeah, you've seen me quite a lot. Yeah. So we had the first meeting there, just getting to know each other, like 30 minutes, 1 hour, just like having lunch, really casual, but just getting like a surface level like overview of who I am and who he is and fun. And then there's a first, let's say, official interview. I had it with Xavier and Donner, and it's more to get to know you. Like what I really felt was like they were going on a deeper level, so not just like what I knew, but what who I am. So that like felt really nice. And after that, we have like a more technical interview. So like a case study, like you receive like in like a couple of days prior, like an investment case, and then you need to present your findings, let's say, to two people of the team, and like in a 1.5 hour conversation, and then from there you hopefully receive the offer.
And how long was the process in total? Starting from the moment of application till the moment you got the yes?
Well, I would say maybe like 2 months, or 1.5 months to 2. Yeah, I would say so.
That's quite nice. Quite nice. Well, thank you so much for all your answers and questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I hope you guys find a very nice intern soon.
I hope so as well.
We hope so. Perfect.
Hi, Liza.
Hi.
Can you please introduce your background to us?
Sure. So I have an undergrad from Columbia University in Earth and Environmental Engineering. My focus was on water resources and climate risks since I was 18 years old, basically. I did my undergrad there and then ended up working in industry as an engineer for 8 years. I'm licensed in 2 states, and my design specialty is in stormwater management and climate change infrastructure. I spent my career kind of working on only water projects for somebody that did nothing but water consulting. So we did engineering projects for big utilities all over the United States. And then ultimately decided that the engineering was there, but the money wasn't. So I embarked on an MBA at London Business School, which I finished about a year ago. and then since have been working in venture capital on the water side. While I was in my MBA, I worked for a number of different businesses, including Vattenfall and Earth Capital, which was really my first entry to venture capital, and I was leading their water sector investment. So that was really interesting to me, and ultimately that's what I wanted to do once I finished.
That sounds actually very impressive, and I see that you're really passionate about water.
Yeah.
So why water?
Yeah, so I grew up in one of the most water-rich parts of the world. So I'm from the Finger Lakes and Great Lakes region of the United States, from Western New York, and to me, water was everywhere, and it was always very plentiful. But I had a lot of family who lived abroad and lived all over the world, and in the places that they lived, there was always drought, and there was so many challenges, and I never when I was growing up, I wouldn't understand like why all these problems were occurring. Plus it was being talked about in the news and all over the globe. So ultimately, when I was pretty young, I decided I'm going to solve the world's water crisis all by myself, which obviously is not something that one can achieve. But it really brought me on my path of how can I actually contribute to it. And I worked for an organization in college called Charity Water, which is a nonprofit organization that helps bring water projects. And now I think they started about 10 years ago. They've brought water projects to over 26 million people so far. So again, I kind of followed my passion of water through from these first ideas that I had and questions I had about it, and I'm still working on them today. And I don't think they'll probably be solved in my lifetime.
So you believe there is a big potential of investment into the water sector right now?
Yes, absolutely. So about 70% of climate change impacts show in water. And there's about $12 trillion of deficit when it comes to the water sector. The only way to solve that is going to be by including private investment. And that was my investment thesis as to why I entered the investing space around water. And I believe that more and more capital is going to be needed to solve it, whether it's building actual infrastructure projects around the globe or investing in the technologies that kind of make those projects optimized, efficient, effective, etc.
And if there's an investment, what startups can do with this investment to solve those issues?
Yeah, so typically we invest on the earlier stage of companies, but they're about to enter the commercialization phase. So we're seeing capital used for maybe fine-tuning a product so that it's ready to go to market, making sure that they find the markets that they should be in and actually chasing the opportunities in those markets, and marketing to make sure people are aware of them. That's such a key piece of it, because as much as there's great technology out there, first of all, it needs to solve a real problem. And second of all, you actually have to reach the people who need it so that you can actually then make the impact with the technology that you have.
So you usually invest into pre-seed to seed, and then you lead the portfolio of the companies, right?
We typically invest in a Series A.
Series A, okay.
So right on that kind of verge of early commercialization. We do sometimes invest a little bit later or a little bit earlier, but Series A is our sweet spot based on the talents that we have in our team.
And if it's not confidential, what is the ticket size usually?
Yeah, so typically we invest, I think 1.5 to 3 million as an initial ticket, and it can be a little bit, depends on really what the company needs. But we really size it according to what we think the company should have and needs at that moment. And we try not to give too much capital to start, because you want to make sure that people are using capital effectively.
But how much would you think the companies need in general in order to solve the issues?
Yeah, so it really changes depending on what type of company and what stage that they're at. Some of the hardware companies need more capital up front because that's a more capital intensive business. Some of the software companies can get by with quite a bit less and make quite a bit of progress. So again, every company comes to us with their challenges and where they're at, and then we help them kind of figure out a path forward that will make them successful, whether it's to raise another round and be appealing to future investors, hit certain milestones, or whether it's also to appeal to exit parties and strategics that might be interested in them in the long term.
And how large is your portfolio, and what is the breakdown between hardware and software startups?
Yeah, so we have 14 portfolio businesses to date. We're not quite 50-50, but almost 50-50 between hardware and software. What we don't typically invest in, and sometimes we do, but software with a hardware component. But we have a lot of businesses that really solve many different problems. So we have some that solve like the digital water problem. So digitizing the water sector, as most people know, is a little bit behind in the digitization era. And it's something that truly makes money and capital more effective, as well as decision making. And then we have a number of hardware ones that are actually solving the like actual treatment problems that are all over. And it's not just in water, and I think that's maybe the misconception when it comes to water. Water flows through everything. It flows through every industry. It flows through pharma and mining and agriculture and all these different kinds of sectors. And so what we invest in is technologies that help enable other sectors to use less water or treat their water more effectively, whether it's regulatory driven or has other kind of ESG and climate drivers. But water tech is kind of a big category that touches on all these different categories. So that's also why it's really exciting for us, because some would say then you're a generalist, but we obviously see it more from a specialist perspective.
Of course. And what changes do you expect in the water industry until 2030?
Sure. So digitization is probably the first one that's really happening, with how much computing power and just like sources out there. There's a lot of change in that part of the sector. Resource recovery is another big thing that's becoming a lot more appealing. So, and that's specifically in industries where they're looking to make revenue opportunities outside of what they're already doing. So in the, like in lithium, you can actually mine lithium through water treatment. Most people wouldn't see that as like a commercial driver, but it really is. And especially with the electrical car revolution and alternative energy revolution, there's a lot of an energy transition generally. There's a lot of need for some of these more precious metals, and extracting them from their water resources is a really great way to go about it.
That sounds actually impressive. And if you go back to investment process, when you decide which startup do you invest in, because Xavier mentioned that you get 500 to 600 applications per year, and your portfolio size is 14, so I believe you're quite selective. So what a startup should have in order for you to, I don't know, have a conversation with them and then invest into them?
So I think we also pride ourselves on investing in some of the most disruptive water technologies. So that means that it has to be something really innovative, very unique. Likely it will have IP behind it that is protected or trade secret that only they or very few can provide. The other piece of it is that they're solving a real water problem. And that's where myself and some other team members really come in, because we try to make sure that what we're investing in is not just great tech, but it's actually going to have the impact that we're looking for. Those would probably be the two biggest questions that we have to start. Is it oxygen, is it aspirin, or is it a vitamin for the customers that they're targeting? If it's oxygen, it's pretty obvious for us that it's a problem that needs solving. And then the question is the tech the right tech to actually do that? That's really that first piece of it that I think gets answered within our team before something progresses in the investment process.
Do you also look at founders, the team, if they're capable of doing this, if they have previous startups in their portfolio experience?
Sure. A lot of water tech startups are founded by academics, researchers, people who've also worked in the sector. We also see a lot of kind of cross talent come across, but to be honest, it's not maybe the same as other tech sectors where you have to have previous experience. And to be honest, that's not necessarily a requirement as much for us, because we have so much entrepreneurship experience in-house that we can help mentor new founders through that journey, and we already have those lessons learned in-house. So 2 of our founders have founded a number of businesses previously and really grown them. And the other 2 founders were either a part of those businesses and helped grow those businesses, or Alex specifically has commercialized new water technologies for the last 30 plus years of his career. So we kind of have that perfect intersection of talents on our founder team, and then also within the team that supports them, which includes myself and Xavier and Gabriele and everybody else. So that together we can really help enable founders of any background to achieve their goals if they have the right solution, and we can help them find the right markets.
So still the main focus is on the product, the uniqueness. Okay.
The uniqueness of the product and the challenge that they're actually trying to solve, and kind of the urgency behind that, because there's all these different drivers, and regulatory is a big one. But when it comes to regulatory drivers, things can also be slow. And we are a closed-ended fund. We are a venture capital fund. We expect financial returns that are equivalent with other venture capital funds. So timing is also a key thing. But if something's not ready for us just yet, sometimes we even will coach and mentor companies to the point where they can then be more appealing and kind of at the right moment for us to invest.
Sounds amazing. Regarding your team, how many people in your team are not focused on water, don't have the background in water before, or engineering, and are mostly from finance?
I would say, so 2 of us have a very strong background and career in water. I would say that about 3 of the others have more of a background in finance, and then we have the entrepreneurship and kind of governance and operations perspective that's needed as well. But I would think that, you know, we've been doing this since 2017, so I would say that you can also count those years that people have worked for the last, 8-9 years as really building their water expertise. But 2 of us have more worked in the sector specifically.
And for example, new analysts or associates that would join the team that don't have a water background, what resources can they use, and how do they learn what to invest in?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we do is we use GWI, the Global Water Intelligence Database. They have a lot of good materials, especially on market sizing and kind of showing the relationships between a technology and a use case. We also have Blue Tech Research that we use, and Isle Utilities, which has some resources out there. So we're connected with a lot of components. And then we also do internal sessions where we teach about different water topics. And Alex and I are also always available to kind of discuss and explain how this might apply in real life, and which customers it would appeal to, what their drivers might be, and help people form their knowledge around water, because it is a lifelong journey and you never stop learning.
So would you say that if a person wants to invest into water but doesn't have large experience, they can still apply and still learn while they do it?
Absolutely. We've had people from all different backgrounds in our roles here at PureTerra, and we all are learning something. I may come from a water background, but I'm learning the investment side of things. And people who come from more of a finance or economics background are bringing something different to the table. And diversity is really important, because having all those different perspectives is what makes an investment group good, because they actually think of things from many different angles. If we all came from the same background, we'd probably all think the same way, and then we wouldn't really get the results that we want.
Exactly. Sounds good. Then the last question, if PureTerra was a person, who would it be?
Yes, so I saw that this question was coming up, and I actually thought long and hard about it, because it's a really fun one. And I would like to say that we are George Clooney as Danny Ocean in the new movie, Ocean's 14. And the reason that I think that this applies is because some people think that what we're doing is next to impossible or just super challenging. And it's true. We're trying to solve 3 key problems: the too dirty water problem, the too much water problem, and the too little water problem. You could also compare that as to tackling the MGM Grand, the Bellagio, and Caesar's Palace all in one go, all at one night. We also do it through empowering other people to help have the impact that we want to have. So our 14 portfolio businesses and counting are going to be doing just that. And then finally, we're not afraid to get our hands dirty. We really think through how we want to be involved, and we do a lot of that through like mentorship, guidance, and strategy.
Great.
Yeah.
Very nice answer. Thank you so much, Liza.
Of course.